What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Joseph, and welcome to Fiction Ink Flow. Today, I'm reviewing some of my favorite graphic novels that star African Americans as the lead characters. So, I have a few of mine I got out of my personal collection and I want to share with you all. Going right away from DC and Marvel. And these really helped me get into learning more about the African Americans in the industry. First up is a character you probably know and love and heard about plenty of times before. It is Cyborg. So this graphic novel is written by David Walker and Ivan Reeves and Joe Peretti. This Cyborg novel gives a sneak peek into some of his personal appearances on his own. You know Cyborg from Teen Titans, where he originated, but you get to see him kind of on his own mission without the Justice League, without Teen Titans, and by himself. I really like how this book goes in depth into the machine part of Cyborg. So there's a big virus going on. I don't want to give too many spoilers away, but it's about Cyborg really trying to figure out who he is with the machine parts and without. So definitely check this out if you want to know more about the character Cyborg. My second novel is one from in the mid 2000s. Batman started this whole thing where he came up with this idea like there needs to be a Batman in every country. I know it sounds like a lot, but this was his plan. So he came up with this idea with this organization called Batman Inc., where he would go to different countries and find people suitable enough that he would feel that they should don the cowl and become their version of Batman in their country. So one of the places he went was to Africa, and he found this detective who was really good. He saw him and he idolized what he was doing. He said, you know what, I think you're worthy of carrying the Batman image in Africa. And he gave him a name called Batwing. It's a really good book and I would definitely recommend picking this up. So this tells the tale of a young police detective who has been recruited to help out and take on this army, this war army that's going around destroying a lot of people in Africa. It's a really good book that I would recommend. One of the lesser known characters in the DC universe is Michael Hope, better known as Mr. Terrific. This guy's one of the smartest people in the DC universe. Everything he's done and created using all the technology has been done by himself. So one of the things he's known for is carrying these 3 orbs called T-spheres that orbit around him. They actually give him the ability to fly and a bunch of other things. So if you're really interested in a highly intelligent character from the DC universe, check out Mr. Terrific. This next character is an old school DC character called Firestorm. So you may remember him from the old Justice League cartoon. He has the power to transmutate energy and matter and change things. But in this recent update, this young kid named Jason Rush was a normal teen in Detroit doing his thing and just trying to figure out life. And he got hit by this bolt of energy and became the new Firestorm. He totally took the power in a new direction and was able to fight for his community more so as well as the city. Now, one of the most recent books that came out is a very popular character from WB TV shows. He's also a character based in the 60s and 70s. It's character Black Lightning. You've probably seen his show or know of the character from the show. He had a limited cartoon run as well. But this book that I'm about to show you now is one of the first. So this is a story of Black Lightning. It's from his perspective. So the story goes from the time in the 1960s all the way up to modern day. So it shows how not only did Black Lightning deal with, racism and injustice and things he had to really focus on to help make his community strong and be a believable superhero for others to accept. It broadens the whole history and lore of Black Lightning as a character. So it's called The Other Stories. Black Lightning Stories, The Other Story. So if you want a real introspective look of Black Lightning and his life and what he's experienced, not just the superhero part, I suggest checking out this book. Last in the DC is kind of something of a hybrid. So we know DC and we know Marvel, and they've had a feud for a long time. But they come together, they borrow from each other multiple times. And this was a first in the series. So this came out probably early 2000s, maybe late 90s. What happened is that Stan Lee decided to write some stories for DC. So they did this whole series called Just Imagine. So it was Just Imagine Stan Lee wrote Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Flash, Justice League, and Superman. So when Stan Lee decided to write Batman, he gave him a totally different spin. And this is Stan Lee's Just Imagine Batman. So he made him African American. That was the first time that ever happened in the DC universe. And he just totally changed the profile. He's not this rich billionaire who just has all this money to be able to do what he wants. He's a different type of person, but highly intelligent and able to really mimic more bat-like powers and abilities with his costume and take on the crime-fighting way in a totally different perspective. This next novel is one you have to have and you cannot miss. It is from Marvel. If you've been watching the recent Disney Plus series Falcon and Winter Soldier, you may have seen this character before. His name is Isaiah Bradley. The story is called The Truth, right? And this novel features the origin of the very first Captain America. So Steve Rogers was not the first one. It's actually a person named Isaiah Bradley. And I like how this story lays out because it kind of depicts what happened. So a bunch of soldiers in the army had volunteered for this experimental program, and they kind of treated them like the Tuskegee experiment. They experimented with several different characters to see what would happen, and only one survived, and that was Isaiah Bradley. And this is his story. This is a must-have, and no collection will be complete without featuring this book here. This character is one you probably haven't heard about. It's in the Marvel Universe, and it's a character from the 60s, and apparently nobody really remembered him. He was a very powerful character, and he's kind of like their version of Superman, and he went in hiding. He was missing for almost like 30, 40 years, and then he came back. His character's name is the Blue Marvel. So what happens is, without getting too far into it, an unstoppable foe comes in to trying to fight, and no one can defeat him. The Avengers go up against him, X-Men, everyone, they're like, we need help. And apparently only one person has ever fought this person before, and that's the legendary Blue Marvel. So S.H.I.E.L.D., Tony Stark, and the Avengers go on this hunt to try to find him and bring him back to stop this threat. Another must-read in the series. All right, ready for something new and different? This character is a recent design, and his name is Mosaic. Now, he has a really interesting power. He's not been featured for a while in the Marvel Universe, but he was an NBA basketball player who ended up with this power by accident. And what's so unique about him is that he has this ability to not have a permanent form. So this is why he's called Mosaic, because when his powers come out, he kind of is like almost like just shifted into like a mosaic of different people. So what happens is he has to go into people's body, and he kind of controls them and takes over when he's in possession. So he's able to keep these abilities though every time he goes into them. So for example, if he jumps into someone that knows different languages, when he's out of that body, he now has that ability. He goes into someone who is a arms dealer or is an expert martial artist. Now he has that ability. His name is Mosaic, and he can take on any ability or power of someone who he's copied or who he's inhabited for a period of time. And we cannot forget the person who kind of started this whole thing. So I have to go with my man T'Challa, all right, the Black Panther. We all know the legend. We've seen the movies, TV shows, but this is one of my favorite runs by Reginald Hudlin. And what happens in this particular series is that it takes it back to Wakanda, because for a while, Black Panther has been working with the Avengers. He's been in the United States for a long period of time. But this one kind of goes back and tells a little bit of history about how he started in Wakanda, and it kind of skips to like modern day. So I like it because it goes to give us one of the few introspective looks of the past and the present. We cannot mention Black Panther without mentioning his sister Shuri. So Shuri is a highly intelligent person. She's actually next in line to take on the mantle of the Black Panther. In this particular book, we find out that Black Panther has been put into a comatose state. And while he's there and trying to heal, someone has to take on the mantle. So who better than Shuri to take it up next? And she's trained, she's watched her brother, she knows everything about being a Black Panther. In this series, she does. This is her first outing as the female lead Black Panther, and I love it. This is another book written by Reginald Hudlin. One of the newer characters is Riri Williams Ironheart. She will be getting a Disney Plus series soon, and there's a rumor that she may appear in one of the movies coming up as well, possibly the Doctor Strange 2 Multiverse of Madness. As a matter of fact, who's not going to be in that movie? But Riri Williams is a young lady from the south side of Chicago who is highly intelligent. So, give you a little background with the story in this novel. She was a young student at MIT, one of the youngest ones admitted, and she saw Iron Man flying around and watched his costume. She used materials from MIT to make her own version of a Iron Man costume. And Tony Stark got wind of this, and so he went to visit her and was like, wait a minute, you did this on your own with no help, no nothing? She was like, yeah, it was a weekend project. So from that point, he basically hired her and wanted her to take on the mantle of being Iron Man while he was gone, or away on missions, or in outer space. So she did that. And then Tony Stark ended up passing away at some point. He was gone for a while, and she took on the mantle and became Ironheart. So this is Riri Williams as Ironheart in her first adventures, Invincible Iron Man 1 through 5. And then she gets the suit change when she fully becomes Ironheart. This next story features one of the smartest people in the Marvel Universe. It follows a young girl named Luella Lafayette, who becomes the new Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. So when Moon Boy and Devil Dinosaur come to the modern Marvel time, leaving the Savage Land, Moon Boy dies, and then Devil Dinosaur is kind of stuck on his own. And of course, who wants to see this big red dinosaur running through New York? Well, Luella Lafayette is this young girl who is considered one of the smartest people in the Marvel Universe. She goes through this transformation called Terrigenesis. So she's an Inhuman. Inhumans are like mutants, but they're a little different. They're not born with their abilities. They have to go through a process where they change. So when she goes through her Terrigenesis, she becomes even more smarter. And she develops a telepathic link with Devil Dinosaur. And she goes around helping people, stopping crime. But it's a funny, campy story because once again, she is a young girl with this giant dinosaur following behind her. And she commands and communicates with telepathically. So if you're looking for something interesting, something kind of cute, something that everybody can kind of jump into, make sure you pick up Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. No story would be complete without mentioning one of the top African American females in the Marvel Universe, an X-Man, one with the most original power I have heard of to date, the ability to control the weather. And I'm talking about Aurora Monroe herself, Storm. This story really gets deep into her history with T'Challa, being on the X-Men, and actually considering being T'Challa's wife for a while, that she married the Black Panther. So this is a really good story called X-Men Worlds Apart 1 through 4. It also includes Marvel Team Up 100 and Black Panther number 26, the part where Storm and Black Panther actually got married. If you want to see that experience and read about it, make sure you pick up this novel. Finally, you cannot mention the top novels with African American characters in them without mentioning my man himself, Miles Morales. This is a story that actually shows the first time that Miles and Peter kind of work together on a mission. And this is called SpiderMan. So both of them are working together to kind of stop a threat that they find or something going over. They kind of cross worlds. This was the first time they kind of interacted and the worlds collided. So kind of think about Spider-Verse has a lot of influence from this book right here. It's written by Brian Michael Bendis, who created Miles Morales Spider-Man. And it collects Spider-Man 1 through 4. Definitely check this one out for a world-hopping adventure. That has been some of my favorite graphic novels featuring African Americans as characters. If you want to learn more in-depth details and want to watch me review some of these, make sure you check out the next video. And until next time, peace! What's up? We are talking about fiction and flow. What's up? If you don't have it, you are truly missing. Fiction and flow.